Hello.
Welcome. Today we have Dani. Introduce yourself, tell them a little bit about yourself and what it is that you do.
All right. So, hey, everyone. I'm Dani. I'm the owner of Divine Healing Restoration. My business deals with tarot card readings, intuitive readings, sound bath healings is something that I've just started. Um, Space cleanses if you're in the Louisville area. I'm located in Louisville, Kentucky. What else? Intuitive chats. Like if you just want to chat, I'm here too. I figured sometimes like with reads, I think some people just need a vent. Sometimes they just want to talk. And I'm like, okay, well, you can just talk and we can chat and do that type of stuff. I also do Reiki work. I'm a Reiki practitioner. So I've been doing that for about a couple of years. So I do that as well. I've started my business back in 2021. And I'm really shocked that I'm still a business owner after 2 years. So, yeah, that's pretty much about me. Like I said before, I'm located in Louisville, Kentucky. And I met Shawnee via a mutual friend. And so ever since then, it's been, she be telling me what I need to know. So yeah, so that's pretty much about me in a nutshell, about me and my business. So
Nice. Well, welcome, and you guys, welcome to this week's episode of Enlightened Investments. So let's get right into it. How did you get started on your spiritual journey? Like what propelled you
so
into this space?
so back in 2018, I was kind of in an interesting spot. I want to say it was right after my Saturn return. Um, and I just wanted to know what my purpose was. I was kind of in a weird space of trying to figure out what it is I need to do next. So I was in a group on Instagram called Melanation Rules Nation. I don't know if that group's still there or not. And in that group, I met my spiritual coach. So I decided to do spiritual sessions with her, kind of doing some sort of inner work because I knew there was stuff that I needed to get through, but also like learn more about my gifts. So we were talking one day. She was like, "Has anybody ever told you that you're intuitive?" And I'm like, "No." She was like, "Do you have dreams?" I'm like, "Yeah, sometimes I remember them, sometimes I don't." And then she was like, "Do you ever predict stuff?" And I'm like, "Sometimes if sometimes things will come through and I'll predict things." Um, and so she was like, we're gonna work on your spiritual gifts. And so from there she realized I was intuitive, and then we got to like tarot cards and my background. So I came from a very strict Christian background. All of my family is mostly ministers in the church. And so we were taught that tarot cards was witchcraft and that, it you shouldn't be touching cards and you shouldn't be doing this, and this. And so when she introduced it to me at first, I was like, no, I'm not too comfortable with that. And so she really just told me like the cards are just instruments and tools that you use that God speaks to you through. And when she explained to me that way, I was like, oh, okay. She was like, you can still be a Christian, you can still be what you want to be, and God can speak to you in different ways. So I'm like, okay. So I started doing tarot card readings, and she realized my gift. She was like, you got a gift. And I said, oh, okay. So we continue to work not only on my spiritual gifts, but also doing inner child work. I had some things I had to sort through. So that kind of started my spiritual journey. And then 2020, the pandemic happened, and that heightened it for me. We were inside a lot. So I had to do a lot of self work, self reflection, things like that. So, like I said, the pandemic catapulted, and then she was telling me, she was like, "You should start a business doing your tarot card reading." I'm like, "No," I was very much against it. Um, so then after that, life went on. And I started to do reads for my friends, and then it turned into people knowing about it. And then I eventually was just like, God was just like, you know what you need to do. So I started my business. And I always knew as a kid I had a gift of healing. I just didn't know like in what capacity. So when I started doing my Reiki work, I realized that the energy healing was what it was I needed to do. So I really been focused on that and a lot of sound baths. So anything with sound healing or energy healing has been my focus. It's kind of shifted from tarot card reads to now that. So yeah, that's pretty much in a nutshell how my spiritual journey started and how it kind of elevated throughout my years.
Okay. So what would you say was like a catalyst that really like made you take it seriously?
Hmm. I think seeing me change as a person for the better really had catalyst for me. Not only that, but seeing things with my own eyes and with my own spirit, my own heart was kind of like, oh, okay, so this is real and this is something that, I have to like continuously learn to continuously do. I'm always learning. I'm always trying something new, trying something different. And that's something I used to do. The old me did not do that. Um, I used to always be stuck on the straight and narrow. And now I'm realizing I'm starting to expand and like go to these different roads. So I think it was more or less seeing the changes and seeing the difference in me, what was the catalyst for it. So
Okay. Nice. Um, what is your sun, moon, and rising sign? And how would you say that it affects you first spiritually and then when it comes to your relationships?
Interesting. Okay. So I'm a Taurus sun, Capricorn moon, and Aquarius rising. So spiritually, I remember somebody told me with my Aquarius rising, Aquarius tend to be healers, and do very well with water and with air, even though it's an air sign. They also have a water factor to them. So I know it's for me spiritually, something with the water, it really restores me and it really changes me, which is why I love beaches so much and the ocean so much. So I think spiritually for me, that Aquarius rising kind of works with that with my healing. Um, Also, too, like with my Aquarius rising, I've always been different. I've always been like no one else. And sometimes with that comes like people be like, you're weird, you're different. Like, why are you the way you are? And I'm just like, I don't know. This is who I am. So really, I see a lot of it with the Aquarius rising, um, for relationships. My Capricorn moon, unfortunately, is kind of a detriment sometimes because with Capricorn moons, we could tend to be, well, our stereotype is that we could tend to kind of be cold hearted and we emotionally detach. And so I'm like, sometimes I do have issues with letting people in and kind of letting my guard down with that Capricorn moon. Um, just because I don't show the emotion doesn't mean I don't have it. And I tell people that all the time. Um, but, and then my Taurus sun, of course, y'all know Taurus is always stubborn. We always want things our way. So sometimes it's hard for me in relationships, especially, to look at other people's points of view. Um, and I'm learning that now. The more I'm spiritually growing, the more I'm realizing like we all have different points of view, and it doesn't matter who's right or wrong. As long as you communicate with each other, that's the important part. So I'm learning that, but some things are to my detriment, but also some things to my favor because I know with Tauruses we can tend to be very loyal. And when we stick with somebody, we stick with somebody. I don't know, maybe that's a good or bad thing, depending on how you look at it. When we stick with somebody, we stick with somebody as Tauruses. So there's that. I know you didn't ask for my Venus, but my Venus is the Aries. So yikes. Um, I could be very much like, oh, I just like him and have all these things, and then he'll do one thing that's like, I'm done. I'll move on. Like, so yeah, the Aries Venus is an interesting one for me.
Funny you said that because I was going to ask you what your Venus sign was. Um, that's a pretty good mix. I
Yeah.
imagine that it's also healing to be near water for you because you are a Taurus sun, and so you have that Venetian kind of ruler, and it's watery.
Yeah. Yeah, I tell people all the time, you can get the romantic side of me. I just got to open up a little bit. But once I open up, it's like romance 101 over here. But it takes a lot. But I can open up and be that person. So yeah.
Yeah. People never forget that Taurus and Libra are the Venus ruled signs. I don't know why, but it's Taurus and Libra, you guys. They're ruled by Venus. Taurus is like the sensory, earthy aspect of it. Libra is the mental, intellectual,
Yeah.
intimate aspect of it where you grow and balance things out through your relationships. So
Mhm.
I like that. That's a good mix.
Yeah.
Okay. What would you say is one thing that confirmed your gifts for you, like an experience that you had?
One of them, which was very interesting, I did a reading for someone, and now this happens every once in a while for me, but I'll get someone's ancestor or somebody who's passed come in sometimes. And I'm like, does this person have dark hair? Like I was describing them, but didn't know it. And she was like, oh my God, that was my ex. He just passed away a few months ago. And I'm like, didn't know that. So I had a couple of those that have happened where I'm like, this person's came into you, or I said something that was like, that's something that only my grandmother said, or that somebody said. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I knew it was kind of real when I started to experience those things. Um, or people will come back and be like, that reading that you said was right on point. I'm like, okay. I said, first of all, it's not me. It's spirit speaking through me. And I have to remind people of that like everybody has gifts, everybody has talents. Um, and so it's not me per se. I'm just a vessel. And I tell people that all the time, you know. So
Definitely, I would say that. Okay, what is some advice that you might give to someone who wants to deepen their connection with themselves, deepen their connection with their ancestors, even maybe tap into some of their gifts? Like, what would you say to them? What would you tell them to do?
it's funny you talk about ancestors because I literally just I want to get more because I'm fairly new to ancestral veneration. Like I'm very new to it. Like I've have an altar and stuff like that, but really get in touch with my ancestors and who is talking to me. So the first thing you gotta be open. I think, especially when you come from like a Christian background, where certain things are taught to you, you have to learn how to be open and not be afraid. One of the things that, for me, I think the reason why sometimes I got held back was because of fear, of what will happen or what people will say or anything like that. But as long as you have an open mind and you have a personal relationship, whether it's source, God, universe, whatever name you call it, um, they'll lead you and guide you the way. But for me, my ancestors came to me in different ways, and one time it scared me. I was like, "Please don't do that again." They know, like, okay, like we gotta take it easy on her. She's not like we gotta take it easy. So but also too, people call it guardian angels, people call it ancestor spirit, whatever it is that you want to call it. Just know I always been a person where you're never alone. Like there's always someone there to guide you. And so once I kind of learned that, I kind of went on my own, but also community is important too. So reaching out to people who may have more of the experience than you do about certain things, asking the questions. I think sometimes I'm trying to think of how to say this. Sometimes in the spiritual community, some people don't want to share. Some people want to keep things to themselves, and some people don't really want to have community. Sometimes it's so individualistic. And I think spirituality needs to be about community because we it's about collective consciousness. And so, you know, getting around people that you want to be involved with, asking those questions. There's nothing wrong with asking questions, and just being with like-minded people. I think that's the most important thing too. So yeah.
I can agree with that. I can agree with that. I think oftentimes we forget how important community is because just the way the society is, everybody's so disconnected. But I will say that as spiritual as I have been for as long as I have been, like really step into my gifts, into myself, until community
Mm-hmm.
and everything just started changing. And that wasn't by chance. I really think that was
Mm-hmm.
it really is about raising tell people what's going on in the stars, you know,
Yeah.
in the collective every once in a while. That's the whole purpose. We just want people to be aware and get out of our see that there's more to life than what you see in front of you.
Right. Yep.
So, yeah,
Yep. Yep.
so I agree with that. And then as far as connecting with your ancestors, um, it's important to venerate your ancestors. I know that sounds cliche, everybody says it, but it is. I will say this, it's important to venerate your ancestors, but it's also important to remember that spirits are not, they don't have human minds anymore.
Right.
So all of that stuff, like all of that family trauma and drama and back and forth, and I'm arguing with my grandma and make peace, like
Mm-hmm.
they're not
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
it's just different, like
Mm-hmm.
it's not so nitpicky and like situational, very grand scheme of things, big picture. This is the lesson type of energy that you're going to get when
Right.
dealing with your ancestors. But some ancestors, because they have not been liberated, they are not ascended. So they are petty. They are
Yes.
angry. They, their spirit ain't settled. It's not at peace. And at the end of the day, we still have to live this life in this human realm. So
Mm-hmm.
if you are going to your ancestors and you know your family is chaotic, which probably means that you have some chaotic things going on in your bloodline, generation things, and you don't really know what to do, you need to start with God, really. Like,
Yeah.
that's what you start with. You start with God because you don't need to be working with no middleman.
Yeah, that's true.
You can't think for all of that on your own.
Right.
You just can't. And then if someone who has a family who doesn't believe in ancestral veneration, we thought that you could be doing this together. So it makes it difficult to
Yeah.
navigate, and you need to do it.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, don't go to them and ask them for stuff. Just focus on generating the energy. They're not worried about what you need. I mean, they're making sure you can see. You know, they want to make sure that you have some foresight, but they're not like trying to be spirit son or depending on what spirit it is. But for the most part, and I don't know about y'all like that. So it's like y'all want to be like, oh, let me start an ancestral altar because I need some money and I need a new job. And if I just, start feeding my ancestors, then, things will just start coming to me. And then you put up the ancestral altar, nothing happens. I knew this didn't work. Like,
Right.
it's like you don't even be consistent. Like you can't
Yep.
even change the water once a week or every day. Like
Mm-hmm.
you have to be intentional about it. It's just like it's be intentional and be consistent. So that's just my spiel on that because
Yeah.
people just what where this whole like misconception came from. I don't know what the thinking is. I'm not even explain it, but yeah, it's getting really weird in
It
those
is.
streets.
I don't know if it's because, like you said, spirituality is becoming more popular. And so people are starting discovering more things. But it's interesting because, like you said, with ancestor work, you gotta be intentional, you gotta be consistent. Because I tell you what, if my altar is not clean, or I didn't change the water, if I did give them an offer, they will let me know very fast. Like,
Yes.
excuse me, you didn't give me no water. It's been a week, and I'm like, be forgetting, or or just being intentional, but also too like I think too, like you said, people use it to their advantage of like, well, if I do this altar, they're going to do these things for me. It's like, no, they don't have to. And certain ancestors are made for certain things too. Like I realize, like, how people always say you should always call on your ancestors for your grace and highest good, which is true. But you also got your warrior ancestors that will fight for you if they need to, and that
Mhm.
spirit for you. So there's different types of ancestors, and they're not all these benevolent, what I mean, like angels. That's I'm like, no, we got certain ones for certain purposes. So there's that too. But yeah, I guess it's just because it's the new thing and everybody's trying to figure it out and all that. But yeah, ancestors are not to be used. How I say it, to be used to get something for you. That's not what the intention of the ancestors are. They guide you, they give you wisdom and knowledge, they do that for you. They can also be that pipeline like between God and you too. um but I do think
Mhm.
people do that a lot with the ancestors of like, well, if I do this and I give them an offering, they're gonna just bless me. I'm like, that's not how that works at all. So
Yeah,
yeah.
because you're not even doing the work. Like you're not doing any of the healing. You're not doing any veneration. You're just asking for stuff.
Yep, yep, exactly. Right. Yep.
Just don't work like that. It doesn't work like that.
No, no. And
Um,
two, the time is so different for them because, like you said, they're not in the human realm. So for them, like their time is totally different. So you're like, man, they haven't done nothing. It's been so slow. And with them, time doesn't exist. So they just, you know, they do what they want to. It's one
mhm,
of those things too. So yeah.
exactly. Um, okay. So I have this question for you. I always say that um having such a metaphysical understanding of the Bible at a young age is what propelled me into spirituality over religion really young. And that's how, like, I'm only 31 and I'm already like really deep into my spiritual journey. Um, I haven't really ever gone too deep into that, but I've been feeling called to talk about it more lately, so I have. But my question for you, coming from like a strong Christian background, is like, how do you keep, I won't even say keep, how do you incorporate
Mm.
um God or the Holy Spirit into your practice? Because that's something that really never goes away. It's
Right.
just like always stuck with you. Um, and I don't know if it's because like we're baptized when we're kids or like what
Yeah.
what it is, but it's something that always sticks with you. And I feel like when you do have like a strong spiritual calling on your life, it's also something that always like you always go back to, even if
Yeah.
it's something simple like going into your Bible randomly and seeing something and being like, I
Yep.
see. Or like somebody walking up on you and saying like, I just felt the need to say this really quick or say this prayer or like, some prophetic encounter always ends up happening that puts you either back into your Bible or like in touch with somebody who needs a message. Like it just never fails. So
Yeah.
like how do you feel like that has either helped your practice and enhanced the flow of
Hmm.
the way that you understand your spirituality, or do you feel like it has put you into a box that you sometimes find yourself trapped in?
That is a good question. And honestly, the answer is both. I think that sometimes, okay, when for me, and this I can only speak for me, when you grow up in such a strong Christian background, I think part of it is programming. I do think that because you have been raised in a religion for so long, it does put you in a box, and sometimes your brain or your spirit can get comfortable with that, like going back to your roots. I'm putting that in quotes, but like going back to what you know. So sometimes, and I tell people this all the time, with religion, they do put you in a box because there's certain rules you can't do this. In the Bible, you can't eat this, you can't drink this, you can't fornicate, you can't like it's a lot of can'ts in there, right? Um, the spirituality teaches you to be free. Sometimes I do realize I will backtrack and be like, feel guilty for certain things that I've done because it's in the Bible and it's not right. Like, well, wait a minute, who said that? That book is I call it like a spiritual guide to help you through the life. It doesn't mean you take everything word for word in the Bible, but sometimes when I do need that comfort, or sometimes I need a message, I do go to the Bible, or I do listen to gospel, or I do like listen to preachers every once in a while, and I think that's okay. I just think sometimes it is easy to go back and to be like, oh, that's comfort because that's home. It's something I've known for 20 years, you know. Um, and for me, like, I always knew that there were inconsistencies within religion, but I really didn't get out into spirituality for like it was about 5, 6 years ago. So I'm still new to it. So I'll notice, I'll backtrack and I'm like, wait a minute, let's change the perspective. But there are certain aspects that I do put in my practice that's still Christianity. And I think my audience is for that because there's a lot of people in the church that are kind of lost and they want their own relationship and they do like crystals, they do like tools, they do like divination, but they don't know where to go. So and I tell them it's okay. Like it's just your relationship with God, your relationship with spirit, your relationship with the Lord, whatever you want to call it. So I do incorporate my practices. Like I do pray before I start doing the reading. I pray. I use the Bible on the altar. Like I said earlier, I was doing my cleaning off my altar, putting new stuff down, and I was listening to gospel music. So I do still incorporate some of my old spiritual practices, but also realizing I don't have to be in a box. At the end of the day, it's my personal relationship with God, whatever that means to me and Him. And that's all that really matters. And I'm trying to teach people that same thing. Like, whatever it looks like to you, it's okay. Because at the end of the day, it's all about a personal relationship with you and God. So, yeah.
Yes, that was a great answer. I would have said the same thing, honestly.
It's hard, though, sometimes. It really is hard to, not I want, and I'm not saying that religion is a bad thing. I'm just saying, like, sometimes it's hard to, you put yourself back in that box. It's like, I don't have to do that anymore, you
I
know?
mean, I get that, like for you, because you grew up in such a strict Christian background, but I didn't. I mean, the rest of my family is pretty Christian, but my mom is the wild child of the family. So, me, I didn't grow up like that. I used to like ask to go to church with my cousins and go to my uncle's house so I can go to church and be in VBS. And like, that was me, like as a kid. And
Okay.
then, like, after a while, because my mom wasn't doing it, like, we would go every once in a while, but it wasn't like strict. So, that's how I was able to kind of like build my own relationship and gain my own understandings at a young age. And then it just kind of like expanded, of course, once I became more educated and
Right.
became an adult, because I really studied a lot of different religions. And I just believe that religion is a social construct and
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't really have anything to do with relationship. It has to do with political power
Right.
and order and control,
Yep.
but spirituality has everything to do with God, and
Mm-hmm.
the Bible is a book that will give you pretty good understanding of what you're supposed to do here on this earth and how you're
Right.
supposed to be as a person and what's not good for you. I think a lot of things are taken literally in the Bible that are not. And then we also have to understand that the times were different.
Right.
Also, people wrote this, not an entity.
Right.
So there's
Right.
like a lot that goes into it. But yeah, I just feel like, it's all about your personal relationship and your heart. And it'll be shown in your fruit. Like people will
Yep.
feel your impact, the relationships that you build, the ways that you present yourself, the light that you shine, all of that. All of
Yep.
that definitely will reflect back. But we've just become so bitter and desensitized as a society. I think a lot of people just really are taking a vain approach to spirituality, and I get it, but I'm just feeling called to call it out and be like, no, we ain't
Yeah.
doing that over here.
Right. Yep.
Like, we're not doing that because at the end of the day, I want y'all to really like we're doing this so we can actually heal and be empowered. We're not like
Exactly.
we're not over here playing like just so we can get some validation and recognition from the world.
Exactly. And two, another thing with the spirituality, the love and light. I call them the love and light people. Which look at all which is fine. But it's also a false reality because with spirituality comes work, and work is not easy. Healing is not easy. Like, especially when you get to your shadow work, your inner child work, all this stuff is not easy. And like with this love and light thing, I'm like, it's thank you. But also, you're not getting to the reality of what spirituality is, which is healing, self awareness, accountability. People don't want to talk about this stuff. They want to talk about all the good stuff. They want to talk about all the unicorns and stuff. And it's like, no, there's more to
Mm-hmm.
spirituality than that, and just I'm tired of the Love and Light crew, but it's just me. That's a part of my journey.
I've always been preaching that ministry. Everything is not love and light.
Mm-mm.
Um, I will say we're living in dark times, so we need to cling to some light. It's okay to redirect your negative thoughts, but you need to acknowledge them and give them purpose, not just ignore them and pretend
Right,
like they don't exist
right,
because subconsciously they still exist. They're gonna you can't control that. So
exactly.
um, it's definitely important to face it head on and
Mm-hmm.
just give it a name, call it what it is, ask it what it wants from you,
Yep,
give it the thing or not. Say no, I'm not giving you a thing. I release you and move on. Like it
yep,
can you can do that in 5 minutes and be
yep,
done.
exactly. Yep, yep,
So
yep,
there's no point in like avoiding it and saying think positive, think positive, think positive when you're feeling negative inside because your
exactly.
emotions are never going to not affect your thoughts. Like
Right.
that is the whole reason why Eve shouldn't have eaten from the tree. That's the whole reason why God favored Abel over Cain.
Right.
One person
Yeah.
is ego and emotion led, or one person represents ego and emotion, rather, because that's really what it is. Those
Yep.
aren't actual people. That's another conversation for another
Yep.
day.
I don't know. I know. I already know. That's why I was like, no, that's why the Bible
You
is just
know,
about representation. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Because it's
so
true.
it's like I don't know. I've never understood that whole thing, but people really get lost in that bubble when they go into like law of attraction, and that's their gateway to spirituality because there's a lot of ministry around law of attraction. It's just like love and light, positivity, be delusional.
Mm,
And it's like,
yeah. Yep. 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 They say it's called toxic positivity, where it's like it's just everything is so I'm like, it's okay to be sad, it's okay to be upset, it's okay to be mad. It's okay. We have a range of emotions because we're human. We have those emotions. So it's okay to be where you at. Now don't stay there. I always tell people don't stay in the negative thoughts, don't stay in the sadness, don't stay in there. But like, if it's okay to have a moment of sadness, it's okay to have a moment of anger. It's okay. It's okay. So it's all about balance too and duality. You could be more than one thing, and it's okay.
we all are. We all
Mm-hmm.
are.
Yep. Yep. So,
All right. So my next question to you, um, what did you struggle with the most in terms of building your spiritual practice and staying consistent?
mm, I think earlier one of my struggles was knowing the difference between intuition. I know this is going to sound really weird, but what is intuition? What is my own thoughts? Because sometimes it's like, wait, is that intuition? I know intuition is more of a feeling, but it's like sometimes your own thoughts can get caught, and it's like, wait a minute, which one is it? So I had a lot of trouble at the beginning trying to decipher the two. I've gotten a lot better with that, but at the beginning I was really having trouble in that. And then of course, you know, that self-doubt, that anxiety comes in too. It's just like, okay, which one is it? And you start to, you know, I guess arguing with yourself. So I think that's the one thing. And also too, um, suppressing my shadow side. Um, I always used to be the person where I had the depiction that everything was okay and that everything was perfect and that everything was right. And then I got to my shadow side and my shadow self and realized, whoa, wait a minute. There are things that I just been suppressing and didn't acknowledge. So I had trouble with that. I think that partially comes from religion, where it's all about love and light and, you know, good, evil. And it's just like, you know, I'm realizing as humans, we have both. And it's okay to have both, right? So really more or less of suppressing my shadow side and not using it and integrating the two. So those were the two main things I kind of had trouble with a lot with my spirituality. Mostly was suppressing my shadow side. Um, so yeah, those were the two, and there was another part of the question I forgot. Oh,
That was the
oh,
other
that was
part.
it. Okay, okay. I don't know why I thought that was a two-parter, but okay.
But a lot of people do struggle with that. So that's pretty common. I'm sure someone else also
Hmm.
need that person of me all the time, and like I'm very like me,
Mm,
choosing myself and choosing my food. Look for who's eating with you. It's really this the thing like you can't
yeah.
explain it. It's just like the way bad things always happen. So they're trying to be engaged to listen to that voice. So that's the voice because I wasn't listening to that in my spirit. It's like
Oh.
maybe 2 years max.
Mm-hmm.
It's like before they but then after that, we didn't have a choice but to surrender. So
Hmm.
and I always tell people that I'm like, I can't even do what everybody else does.
Right.
Slide a ruled and it's very offensive. I just,
Mm-hmm.
but,
Right.
so I can't really speak to that, but I know that a lot of people ask me, um, you know, determine what's intuition, what's
Right.
speaking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. Yep.
So, okay, talk a little bit about the process of shadow integration and how it plays a strong role in your success.
So with shadow integration, for me, I can't speak on, but we can talk about shadow integration for most people. It actually just goes to show you that it is okay. I think the number one thing is that it's okay to have a shadow or a dark, I'm putting it in quotes, side. It's okay to have that. And actually, you can use that to your advantage. So for some people, it helps. For me, it helps with my creativity because it helps me go in a direction that I didn't think that I had in me because a lot of things were suppressed. So you can take things of your shadow side. So for example, um, with me, some of the things I was like, oh, sometimes I could be selfish. Sometimes I can be very like things always have to be right. Things always have to be perfect. Like that's one of the things I have to work on. Well, also I can use that to for my work ethic. So if I'm really determined, I really want to do something, then I use that to my advantage and really start taking that. So you can take some of your shadow elements and use it to be creative. A lot of times people take their shadow side and they use it for art. If you're an artist, use it for art, use it for music, use it for writing. So you can take that other side, put the two together, and that's what makes you better. And not realize, I mean, because sometimes you do also need your shadow side for protection. You know, if something's going down, your shadow side can come out and can help you with that stuff. Sometimes you need that too for protection and for like vigilance. That's what I want to use too. Um, so realize like not suppressing that part because we do need it sometimes for human survival and instinct. Um, so for me, using those elements of my shadow also helps me to be more focused and helps me to be more creative, believe it or not, when I take those elements of my shadow and use it, whether it's for my business or for a skill or for something that I'm just doing. Um, so I'm learning more about that, like taking those elements, putting it into my light side and working. And it helps me to be a better me because it's me. You know, shadow is a part of who you are, and it's okay. So just taking those elements and making me fully who I am and being unapologetic about it too, like not caring what anybody else has to say. Um, I've learned that over the past few months, actually. Like just being like, I don't care what nobody got to say. This is what I want to do, and this is me, and that's it. You know, so that too.
Period.
Yeah.
Period. What are some ways that you conserve your energy in doing energy healing?
Hmm. I think for me, as far as healing for other people, first of all, like I said, using my body as a vessel for God and knowing that God is healing someone is very, very important to me. But also
Mm-hmm.
too, a lot of people have a lot of energy around them. And, you know, whether it's stress, you know, people overworking, you know, they got kids, they got all these problems at home. And for them to just have a moment so where they could just fully relax and I could fully work energy within them and they have a moment to just be at peace, that to me is the most important. Or if they have like any energy they may need to get out that's not serving them, I can help them with that. Or if they need energy. Some people are just tired, they got low energy, their solar plexus all low. So yeah, I work with that area. Um, so for me, energy healing for other people to get them to a space where they need to be, that's the most important part to me. And working with my energy through God to help heal them in certain aspects, that's the purpose, you know. So there's that.
So, how do you ever have time where you just energy and the like baby? No. Things
So can you repeat that again? Like you're going in and out, so it's hard to hear the last question.
like
I said I still it's hard to
you
hear.
still can hear me?
There we go. I can hear you
You
now.
can hear me now.
Mm.
Um, have you ever had a time where you were doing energy healing for someone and it took a lot out of you, maybe even negatively impacted you, made you sick or have a headache, really tired, anxious, anything like that?
Oh yeah, I've had that before. And I think that's because you're a Reiki practitioner as well, so you kind of understand this. But like sometimes, if it is a lot of energy, I know we have to do protection work before and after we do it because it's the essential, the important part of it. So you don't get their energy. But if you're working with energy, sometimes it does latch and sometimes it gets stuck. And so for me, yes, sometimes after a session, I'm like, whew, man, I don't know what that was. I am tired. I'm exhausted. I need a nap or whatever the case. So I always do try to remove the energy. A lot of times the spiritual bath does help me a lot with that. And sometimes I really just need a nap. Sometimes I'm just so tired and exhausted. I'm like, I just need to go sleep and then maybe a few hours I feel better. But yeah, I've had sometimes where the energy was so heavy. Now I'm like, woof. Even after a reading, sometimes when it's a tough reading or you just feel a lot of energy, you get off the phone or you get off, and it's just like, okay, so I need to do something like, like I said, most practitioners do like protection work before making sure that we don't catch on the energy, but sometimes we do. And, it's just one of those things of trying to get rid of the energy. But like I said, for me, sometimes maybe because I'm a Taurus, but I like to sleep. So for me, maybe it's just sleeping that helps, or taking a spiritual bath also helps me too to try to get rid of that energy. Because, oh yeah, it has exhausted me sometimes. Yeah.
Sleeping definitely helps me when I feel like that. Sometimes I will like burn some Palo Santo real quick and go lay down.
Yeah. Sometimes I'm just like, I'm taking a
Like,
nap. I don't think
cause that's all you can do. Cause then if you
yeah.
try to keep going, or like if it's just you just have to you have to go to sleep. Like that's what you gotta do. You gotta just go to sleep,
Yeah.
recharge, turn it in later, next day, whatever.
Yep. Yep.
Um, okay. So my next question for you. Earlier you had mentioned that you're an Aquarius rising, and because of that, you are always like doing things differently. And you've always kind of like thought outside the box, and you probably had a hard time like finding people that you like and that like are like minded and that you can like really agree with and build community with because of being different, but
Hmm.
also like wanting community because that's an Aquarian trait. I have Aquarius in the fourth house, so kind of
Hmm.
have that same um
Yeah.
same dynamic
Yep.
going on. So like in feeling that and being in that space, what would you say is like one thing that you wish people understood about you?
Hmm. I wish that just people. That's actually a really good question because I have been all my life very eccentric. So I just take it as it's just who I am. Um, I just really wish that people understand that because some people know me through my business, so they know me as one way, and I'm just like, if y'all really know me for real, I'm also very silly, very like into like animals and cats and stuff like that. Like I am a human person just like you are. I go out and have fun. I go out to the club every once in a while because that's a lot of energy. But like, I like to do things. I like to be I'm normal in certain aspects. Just to know that I'm like you can talk to me about things. Like I'm not this stuck up person. Somebody's told me that before. Um, I think it was the way I was presenting myself. I have no idea. She was like, I know you're not stuck up now, but that was my first impression. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. But
It's a
just know that
Taurus thing, I think.
maybe that's what it is. We all have that RBF like
Mhm.
But yeah, just know that I like to have a lot of fun. I love traveling. I love meeting people. Like that's just the things I like to do. And that I'm not just one sided. I have different sides to me, and I love my family. I love my friends. All that type of stuff. So yeah,
He's not one dimensional.
not at all.
That's like what everyone with like a prominent Aquarian placement wants the world to know. We are not one dimensional. We know we're hard to read and we come off one way, but just Come on here and get to know us.
Yeah,
There's a lot of depth. It's fun over here. It's a good
yeah, right. We have a good time over here.
time.
I didn't even think about that with me being an Aquarius. We do want people to know we're not just one thing. We can be several things and all that stuff. And I can be very emotional. Like these are things I've learned about myself. But yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Um, what is one thing that you do to identify and avoid energy vampires?
Oof. To avoid them, well, it's hard to avoid. The one thing I do, which I don't, I usually cover my head a lot of times when I go out. So I actually having a head wrap on or wearing certain crystals. So I wear like black tourmaline that helps with the negative energy repelling. But sometimes, you work with people, you unfortunately may have some in your family. It could be anywhere and everywhere.
Mhm.
Um, so one of the exercises that my spiritual coach actually taught me was the white light exercise. I don't know if you heard of that before, but you basically have this white light around you and it helps you to repel that energy. So I do that a lot. Um, but also knowing too, like listening to your intuition, because they tell you like, hey, this person may be, and it may be the first time you meet them when you first walk in the room, they're like, something ain't right. You might want to stay away from them, you know. And sometimes, most time I do listen because I'm like, okay, I know something ain't right. Sometimes I'll be like, I'm gonna give him a chance. Then give him a chance. And it's like, I told you. I told you. So yeah, like listening to your gut and your intuition when something's telling you something's off, something off. So usually I just do that to help to help with those energy vampires because they could listen, they could be clothed in deception and they could disguise themselves very well until they
Yes,
start asking
indeed.
for stuff and it's like, oh, okay, you one of those people, all right.
Man, you ain't
Mhm.
lying when you said that. You ain't lying. Okay, I got about three more questions for you.
Okay.
One, okay, first of all, this is not a part of the three questions. This has nothing to do with nothing, but I might as well ask you this because it's recent and you're here. So you just went to the Beyonce concert, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
So I know it was amazing. I'm not even asking how it was. I know it was amazing, but I want you to talk about what you felt spiritually speaking
A
being
lot,
in the concert because
yes, a lot of
everybody
people have
says
asked,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, everybody said that Beyonce is a witch and she has a cult and like behind this, behind that. And I mean, I'm not here to like break down that whole dynamic because we can be here all day explaining that. But I just know that like there's definitely a strong aura that's there, and I'm really what you feel.
So it's very interesting because I got that question from someone else too.
Mhm.
So yes, I did go to the Beyonce concert. Um, what was interesting, I think I felt not necessarily more of the aura of her, but more of the people around. So think about it. You're in a stadium with how many people was there? 20,000 people, 10,000? Can't remember. And all those people are just there to have a good time. They have a sense of just having fun. A lot of people, people around us was telling us their stories about they just had a hard day and they just want to have a good time. So that energy of like just being around people who want to dance, have a good time, have fun, it was beautiful. I mean, I felt her aura and her spirit. I did, but it
No,
was
just like
like,
the aura of the place.
yeah. And so,
Yeah.
when you have that many people who have the same common thing of just wanting to have a good time and sing and dance, they and sing their heart out and dance around, like that energy could be very compelling. Now, it was also a Monday night, and I had to go to work early in the morning. I was tired. So like we get home to like 1 in the morning. So we were tired because also I'm almost 40 and I can't do it like I used to in my 20s. Um, so we were
Yeah, I
tired.
don't know how I used to do that.
I don't either. So yes, I was tired because obviously we were out all night and then we had to get up for work in the morning. But I just felt a sense of like people being free and people just wanting to have fun. It wasn't like oh, I'm blinded by Beyonce. It wasn't that. It was just more or less.
Well, I would hope not.
It was just more the presence of having a good time, being around people that want the same things you do. And I think that was the most important part. So if people were, listen, people were dressing how they wanted to dress, they were dancing how they wanted to dance. And so,
Yes, and that's exactly what it's about. That's what I wanted you to depict because it's not even, I don't know. I think people just think everything that is foreign to them is demonic,
right.
but that's why people love Beyonce, people. Because she brings
Yeah.
people together to have a good time and be who they want to be and feel beautiful
Mhm.
doing it. That's it. Like,
That was all, that literally was it. I think that's why people like her so much because in her concerts, you do get to be who you want to be and you get to dance and sing your heart. I have a good time. Like, I didn't see anything that was like cult like or that she did have some messages. I was like, okay, Beyonce, I see you like on the on the billboards and stuff. I was like, okay. But for the most part, everybody was just there to have a good time. Young, old, black, white, it didn't matter. Everybody was just having fun and having a good time. So
thank
yeah,
you.
you're
I just
welcome.
feel like, like I said, we could do like a whole deep dive and talk about that, but just not today. But I
Maybe
just
another
have to
time.
like get that out because I don't know why people are just, I don't know, people are just willfully ignorant, to be honest. I think that's what it is. Um, but yeah, I just feel like it has to be such a good experience feeling all that energy of just joy and
Yep.
fun and just vibe.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
everybody's dressed,
Hmm.
everybody's dancing, everybody's singing.
Yep.
It's like,
And yeah, and it was hot. Let me tell you, the day that we went there, it was hot. They thought it was going to rain, like it was a big storm coming, but it passed through. And of course, people was like, Beyonce controls the weather because she moved the storm. I said, okay, now, okay, come on. But even when we were standing out there, that's what people were saying. But even in the hot weather, everybody was just out, it just in the light mood. Like everybody just wanted to have a good time. It was like we ready to see B, we ready to dance, and we got fans out. It was awesome. Like even if you're not a fan of Beyonce too, just a sidebar, even if you're not a fan of her, to watch her how she performs and her production, if you're not a fan, you go to Beyonce, you're going to change your mind because it was awesome. The production was awesome. She was awesome, and just everybody just having a good time. 2 hours not thinking about anything else, and that's what I loved about it.
yeah. I've been to Beyonce concerts. I'm from Houston, Beyonce's from Houston.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I don't know, it's like a part of my culture at this point. But I'm not like, I wouldn't consider myself like a stan of any celebrity at all. But I will say this, Beyonce is very dedicated to her craft. And also has big hearts, giving back to her fans, back to the people. And, the woman performs down. You can't take
Yes.
that away from her. She performs down. You might
Yeah.
be like, you might like be over her album. You listen to every song 3 weeks in a row on repeat and be like, okay, Beyonce, what's next? And then she makes you wait 2 years for the next thing.
Yep.
I'm over you. Why do you keep me waiting on this? Then
No.
you gotta go back to the old stuff. It's about every time. You can't get away from it. Like,
Right.
you know her things. I don't know why y'all want to be Beyonce. And I'm not here to defend her, but I'm just saying, like,
I
why?
know. I know. I get what you're saying. And two, to be fair, Renaissance is not my favorite out of her. And so,
Me?
but after I went to go see it, oh, now I can listen to it. Like I'm like, just because of the experience that I got from the tour. So yeah, I don't know why people don't like that girl, but I don't get it.
It's so
Whatever.
weird. It's so weird to me. I just don't get it. But whatever. And it's mostly that people are complaining about who I need to say about Jordan. I think it's weird. I think people are just, I don't know what's wrong with the world. The world is just really things that happen.
Right.
I don't know what's wrong with the world, but some things are happening.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Okay.
It's fine. I was like, I'm telling you, somebody asked me that exact same question. Like, what was your feelings towards it? I was like, we were just having a good time. It was a lot of energy at the place. Like, it was
I
fun.
just wanted to ask somebody that went to the concert on a public platform because I think people sound so ridiculous talking about the things that they talk about when it comes to Beyonce. It's just like
I don't know.
I
It's
just
always
don't
gotta be.
understand it.
I don't either. There's always gotta be a conspiracy behind everything. I'm just like, it's not always, but
It's
so.
crazy. Okay. Do you feel like deepening your spiritual practice or excuse me, even like deepening your knowledge of self has caused conflict or frustration in terms of building relationships, especially romantic relationships, but also just platonic or interpersonal relationships in general?
Um, More or less, because I'm single, so more or less dating. Because when I tell people like what I do, like when I tell men what I do, some of them are just like, "Oh, okay," because they don't. Some of them don't know and don't understand it, and then some of them are just automatically like, "So you do this, and you do that." I'm like, "No, that's not what I do." So sometimes it's very hard to find spiritual men that understand what it is that I do, so I do have trouble with that sometimes. But as far as like family relationships, they know what I do. They Some of them watch my live, some of them, participate even if they don't fully believe, and that's fine. Um, I think they just learn to be like it is what it is, to be honest. Especially with my mom, it's very interesting. So my mom's a minister, and she is now, I think, stepping more towards the spirituality, or and asking me certain questions. And I'm just like, oh, she's starting to, get more spiritual instead of religious. And so I've been getting a lot of that lately. They'll be like, okay, so what's this crystal for? Or what does this mean? And I'm just like, okay, so you're trying to tap into it. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, as far as dating, well, anyway, that'll be a whole nother topic for another day. I just think it's hard for me. I think it's just hard to find spiritual men who understand like what it is that I do. And I don't mind explaining what I do because people don't understand it. It's a new spirituality, is this new thing. So I get it. But um it's definitely hard, especially if like, so do you put spells on people? I'm like, no. Like, do you do love No, no, I don't do those things. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. So yeah, I do have some issues in the dating world with that.
People really be asking you that?
Yes. They'd be like, do you do love spells? No. Why would you think I do a love spell? It don't even make sense. But once again, people watch TikToks and people talk about this different stuff. It's just like, oh,
This is relevant to when it's very deep. I used to love TikTok. It's fatigue. It's like it's always a TikTok. Not that it's just like this felt like I was learning a lot.
yeah.
I don't know what it was. It's just well, my life just again, yeah, still deep in it. And then
Mm.
TikTok is leading away.
Yeah.
Then let me really try. Yeah, I guess. So then I just deleted it.
Mm.
So I say like 2, 3 weeks ago. Um, it just thinking, okay, maybe it's time for me to get back on TikTok. I get back on TikTok, first thing I see, ABC Live.
Mm.
And then like steady schooling, it's just like spiritual rabbit holes, conspiracy rabbit holes, people being ignorant, seeing people doing the same dances. Like it's just like I don't know, I just felt like a toxic portal.
Yeah.
And I was like, they could post or say anything to people not to be on TikTok. If you want to be on TikTok, I believe be on TikTok. Really seems to be going on TikTok, and I don't trust it. I'm not saying that all creators on there are sinister. There's definitely still some good creators on TikTok.
Yeah.
Things have already happened. Like people have gotten murdered online, TikTok, and all kinds of stuff. But I don't know. I feel like we all need to connecting from that app, and I also feel like Instagram is about to be next because the way that reels are like taking over, and everything is like becoming ads. It's getting to a point where you're going to be either constantly spending and scrolling, or just running no creativity on Instagram.
Well, now with TikTok, I noticed that a lot of the real spiritual practitioners, they don't get as much, views or whatever the case. But also too, the whole NPC is now popular too, and that's a little weird for me. I mean, you making money, how you making money, but I don't know. It's like the whole NPC thing on TikTok is just weird, and I'm like, okay, guys, like I don't know. So TikTok for me, really, honestly, is just like plants, cats, and that's pretty much what it is for me. But yeah, it's true. It's like you keep on scrolling and things just get in your brain. And I wonder how that affects us, like just doing this and like,
I just feel like stuff gets stuck in your brain, like those sounds get stuck in your brain, the words get stuck in your brain, like, and then you don't even know what's your own thoughts anymore.
Yes. And I think that's where that's the dangerous side of technology.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do realize I'm like, I've been on TikTok too much. I need to get off of it. Or I've been on social media too much. I need to get off. And take breaks from it because yeah, it would consume your mind for sure,
Oh, I've never been one of those like old ladies who are like, we get on the social media, stay off the internet, don't be so
Mm-hmm. It could be, but it's also just one of those things I think for a lot of spiritualists, social media, TV, like programming, and I'm putting that in quotes, after a while it does bother you. You start looking at things, you're like, none of the same. This ain't good for me, and so I think a lot of people are starting to realize that, especially when you get more spiritual. It's like, I can't be on here all the time. I gotta take a break every once in a while. Mm-hmm.
We from school all the time. I speak. Now it's just like I'm very intentional. This is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm doing. This is where we are. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
To be just feeding the beat. Like can't do it. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's something very sinister going on TikTok, and I feel like as far as social media, people need to start disconnecting from social media. Stop trying to get off social media because social media is if I'm going anywhere, you need to become a part of it. It's going to be a part of your lives. But you need to emotionally detach from social media because it's messing up your thought process and your relationships are getting to a point where people barely are friends anymore.
Yep.
It's not being loved anymore. People are getting divorced at a higher rate. People don't even know how to live with their children.
Yep. Yep.
It's just bad. It's just bad.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna just ask you one more question, then we'll go in on that because I think that I've probably said it about TikTok and Beyonce. I don't even know if they're good. I'll take it. What is your biggest pet peeve? The biggest one.
Yeah. So what was the last part? It says, what is your biggest pet peeve? I'm sorry.
In sharing your craft, what's the biggest pet peeve?
I think how long I'm trying to think of how to say it. The biggest pet peeve is when someone asks me a question and I tell them the answer, but they don't believe my answer. It was like, then why did you ask the question? Oh man, I think that's my biggest pet peeve.
That is.
Yeah, that's my biggest one. Like, then don't ask me. Ask somebody else. I don't know. Don't ask me the question. And I give you the answer. I mean, now I'm not saying like don't do your own research. I'm not saying that. Like, do that. But please, don't ask me the question you already know the answer to, or you just won't. I don't know. That's my pet peeve, as you can tell.
People try to test. Okay, so. When you come to me, you need to come and be open and ready to receive it all. Like, what's coming? So, no reason to not even tell you crazy.
Right.
So if you're coming into the reading with all these negative conceptions and you have your own ideas about what's going to happen and what's going on, you're not ready to receive yet. And you need to just figure it out on your own. Especially if you're going to argue with me about everything. That is so it's not so much that they don't believe me.
Yeah.
They believe me deep down inside. Or they believe me to begin with. But it's about that they're not ready to receive the answers.
Yeah.
And they're trying to convince me of what they're saying. It's just not.
No, I get exactly what you're saying. Have you ever turned down somebody for a reading because you just knew it wasn't like in your spirit? It wasn't right? Like,
say that again?
Have you ever turned somebody down for a reading or just say, I refer you to someone else because you just don't feel the right energy or just don't? Okay. I had to do that once and I was kind of like, yikes. Nothing wrong with the person. I just was like, I'm going to refer you to someone else, but I can give that to you right now.
I've done that a few times, and I've even blocked clients. I have referred them out. Sometimes, like, I can't do it.
That's fair.
And it's not even because, like, I literally cannot. It's just, I don't want to in situations where the client is not in a healthy mental space, I don't feel like they need to be like repeating the cycle of like, I'm just get a reading, I'm gonna just get a reading, I'm gonna just get a reading. Right. So at that point, I will definitely refer them out and say, hey, I think you should probably talk to a therapist, or, if you want to do some coaching where we're having some actual accountability and I can work hand in hand with you and, we can get some practices going to release this energy and do some healing. Great, but I'm not going to sit here and just feed that. That's been an instance. And then also, like, I've had people come to me with crazy things, and I'm like,
Mm,
You don't need a spiritual counselor. You need to go and talk to a therapist because you're experiencing schizophrenic symptoms,
right,
and I can't diagnose you. I like you need to go talk to somebody. I've had people who simply like, the pet peeve that we were talking about, they will go around and around about that. And I'll be like, might not be the psychic for you. You can go talk to Chosen Eyes. You can go talk to this person or this, whoever is in my little network of psychics that I'll refer out to. I
right.
will refer them out because I'm not about to argue with
Which,
nobody. I'm
yeah,
not gonna do it. The only person that I will argue with is my wife or my mother. If you're not my wife or my mother, I'm not arguing with you. And I don't even want to argue with them, but
right,
sometimes it's just inevitable. But,
right,
okay.
right, right, right.
So
Yeah,
I agree with you. So like I definitely have been there and I encourage you to do that. Like you may feel like you don't want to do it in the moment, you need the money, or
mhm,
the person really needs help, your heart stay.
yeah,
Create this
yeah.
annoyance for yourself. Just get them on sometimes. All
Yep.
right. We always end with a postcard from spirit. This is yours. It says, Dearest you, we are gathering our magic together to help you celebrate your new beginning. Excuse me. You're stepping into a new version of your life, getting to tell a new story as you create it. Doesn't it feel like spring when the huge urge to expand wells up inside you from a primal place? The form of what you are growing has yet to take shape, and it is exciting to experience this new and fresh beginning. It's normal to feel both push and push back when entering any new kind of relationship. It's okay to admit you don't really know what to expect. What you can know is it's time to dive in and allow the new version of your life to take shape right through you on behalf of your partner in life, spirit. You have made it to a new level of awakening and contributing, and we are so excited to see where this will take you next. We are so proud of you. Oh, that was
That
cute.
was perfect. I literally told somebody, I said, it's interesting because I'm feeling like a shift in my life. Like something new is coming. I just can't figure out what it is. Of course, we don't figure it out, but like I've been saying that for the past few weeks. I'm like, something is coming up. I don't know what it is. It's a new shift. So that was perfect of what's going on. So thank you for that. I really appreciate it.
Of course, thank you so much for being here, and thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you come to the conversation. Have the thumbs up to let us know that you're here, and to share to your friends. Also, hit that subscribe button so you can catch us every Thursday with Enlightened Investments. Until next time, we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.